In this video, we shall discuss how to measure the performance of an author in scientific publications. In academia, the performance of a scientist or a researcher is measured by their number of publications, H-index, that depends on number of citations, and the impact factor of the journal where their papers are published. Arguably, none of them are free from criticism. In this video, I shall present an alternative approach to measure the performance of an author. In academia, reputation is synonymous with those numbers. Hence, academics want to increase their number. The easiest way to do it is to increase the number of publications. In the race to increase their number, many academics are known to rely on adding their names as authors in publications of their friends, colleagues, and subordinates, albeit some are accused of being an author without intellectual contribution. Now, the biggest question is, how do we stop giving credit to those who do not deserve it? To prevent assigning any additional credits for being an author without intellectual contribution, we may rely on author categorization. We have conducted an online survey among academics around the world to know how to categorize authors in a paper. The majority of the respondents agreed that one or two authors made most of the contribution to the production of a multi-authored paper. Again, the respondents endorsed the need for a common categorization of authors based on their contribution. According to the most acceptable categorization, the principal author means the individual who is the mastermind of the research published in the paper. Then there are primary authors who contribute to the vital or central part of the majority of the empirical research and data analysis. Finally, the co-authors are those who contribute to any other part of the research or writing the paper to assist the primary and principal authors. If the above author categorization is accepted, then we can use this equation to measure the performance of an individual as an author. In this equation, PP refers to the number of papers as primary and principal author, PT refers to the total number of papers, YF is the year of publication of the first paper being counted, and YC is the year of publication of the current year being counted. Although one may not see an exclusive presence of co-author in the equation, it is however embedded in the PT, which counts the total number of papers as primary, principal, and co-authors. According to this equation, performance index increases with increasing publications as principal and or primary author. In other words, the equation shows performance index decreases with the increasing publications without being principal and or primary author. Let us see how API increases with increasing number of papers as principal and or primary author. Think about an author who might have a total of 200 papers, among which the author might have different numbers of papers as principal and or primary authors, such as 50, 75, 100, and so on. If the author publishes those papers in 5 years, then the API will increase with the number of papers published as principal and primary authors. Similarly, API will have a similar trend, but will decrease if the author takes a longer time to publish the papers. Using the same equation, it can be shown that API decreases with an increasing number of total papers without increasing the number of papers as principal and or primary author. Think about a person who might have 25 papers as principal and primary authors, but eventually will increase the total number of papers as co-author. In this case, author's API will decrease with an increasing number of total papers. If the author publishes this paper in 5 years, then the API will decrease with the increasing number of total papers published as co-author. Similarly, API will decrease if the author publishes the papers taking longer time period. Becoming an author without any intellectual contribution is simply cheating. That cheating cannot be stopped with a tool such as API. It will depend on the ethical and moral standards of the individual.